Hello, hello. Welcome to another great episode and special episode of Wesam's World. If you're tuning into Adobe Radio, thank you so much for tuning in live. Make sure you tweet at us or Instagram message me or my guest while you're listening live. That way we can respond back to you. Second, if you're watching on YouTube, thank you for watching. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you know exactly when the episode comes up. And you're like, oh, a new episode of Wesam's World. I can't wait to listen to it. Or, oh, a new episode of Wesam's World. I can't wait to write mean comments. Or, oh, I love Wesam so much. He has great hair. Any one of those is fine, just as long as you watch it and you subscribe. That's what the most important part is. I'm still at Chablé, shooting the NBC pilot, which is great, getting to work with a lot of awesome people. I'm still doing the intro. I'm going to introduce my guest here in a second, and it's kind of weird because he's been sitting here for about a minute, and I haven't really introduced him yet, and this is like he doesn't do podcasts a lot, but he's been on podcasts before. I'm going to introduce him here in just a second. I'm trying to get all the business stuff out of the way. What else is going on? Last week was a good episode. It was just me solo ranting for about an hour. Peyton had to fill in some time, I believe. Thank you, Peyton. I appreciate that. I got the numbers mixed up. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes in life, you meet with people who you vibe with, and you're on the same frequency. You're jiving with them. You're on the same mentality, and those are very special moments. And not only are those special moments, but when you're doing it in a place like this, that's extra special. And on top of that, when you're working together in your passion, that's even more special. And so this trip, my first guest that I'm going to have on the show is someone who I'm so glad I befriended. I'm learning a lot from him. He's an exquisite actor. He's British, so he has to be a good actor. There's no like bad British actors because that's just not allowed. He's extremely handsome. He looks so good for his age. He's 92.
Yep.
He's a great guy. He has some amazing theater credits. He's been breaking into the TV world for the last few years, more than a few years. It's been a while since he's broken out into it. Yeah. And make sure you follow him at the end of this or during this and tweet out at him that you're enjoying the show. Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm welcome to Anthony Mark Barrow.
Wow. I can only hope that however long this podcast lasts, I actually sound as interesting as you just made me.
I got to say this, Mr. Anthony.
A lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure, but most of the work is done for you because of your exquisite British accent. And I'm so jealous because I feel like with the tonality, with you being so grounded and just the musicality of the British accent, it's definitely a plus in life.
So are you saying that I'm going to raise the cerebral quality of your podcast?
100%.
And I'm not really British. This is absolutely a lie. It's a fallacy. I moved to Hollywood and I kind of think it works. I'm from the South, really.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. But the Brits were getting a lot of work, so I think I'm going to do what they do and speak in this weird voice.
I thought about doing that.
Do it.
I need a lot of practice.
And then cut all your hair off.
Oh, go bald too?
Works.
But I have some amazing hair.
Didn't work for 20 years. Now look at me.
I have some really amazing hair.
Working with you, British accent, I promise you, it works.
Hey, man, I was so happy when I helped you with your audition the other day, the self-tape. You're so good. You're so good. It's not even, it's gone past the point where it's annoyingly good. And it's inspiring, and it makes me want to bring my A game when we start filming our scenes.
I'm going to let you all into a little secret, which I shared with Wesam. Being on this job, and we're very fortunate to be in a wonderful place and working with great actors. And the few actors that I kind of found out who were on the project, you kind of Google them, IMDb them, and I looked at this guy's work. And being on set, because TV is still quite new to me, I'm still kind of getting into the arena of TV and film. I was intimidated, and so much so that I asked the wonderful Wesam to come and help me self-tape, because invariably you get on a job and then you still have to be looking to the future. And I was so nervous before he came over, but within the first take, And I'm just not used to this. And a bit of advice for actors out there, or any budding actors: the world of self-tapes is going anywhere anytime soon. So get used to it, master it. I happened to do my first kind of rehearsal tape with Wesam, and I just happened to kind of look up and try to use him as the other person in the scene. And it was electrifying. The presence that is emanating from this guy elevated my game, whether he wants to admit it or not. Probably not, because he's very, very modest. It was amazing. So all that to say, however good I was, he perceived me to be, it was because of the energy that he gives me. I'm a firm believer that in life, particularly in acting, I can only ever be as good as the person I'm working with. So any credit he gives to me, I have to kind of deflect back and say that he is amazing. I have seen his work, and I'm just so very happy that on this project, most of my scenes are with him. And fingers crossed, everybody, give us positive prayers and energy that this gets picked up, because I think we're going to be formulating into a double act, which is going to be very exciting for me to work with a man of this caliber.
Oh, man, you made me feel so good. I appreciate that. I appreciate the compliment. I'm going to accept it. I'm learning how to accept compliments.
Good.
And I appreciate that. And it you know, you're obviously older and you've been in the business for a little longer than I have. And I always respect actors who are older and who've gone through the ropes and who are extremely talented at what they do. And I always want to learn from them. And I'm just so lucky to be with someone on your caliber as well. This is the whole show, by the way. We're just going to be complimenting each other the whole time. So get ready.
But he can't compliment me on my hair. I love his hair. I'd love to do what he does when he gets his fingers and just... I can't do that. But
I got to say, the ladies love it. And the guys too, which is cool. So that's
jealous of him.
All right, we're gonna take in just a couple minutes. I want to know kind of a brief beginning about you, because we haven't talked about that. And we're gonna dive into your theater background. We're gonna talk about theater stories here with Anthony. We're gonna talk about bad audition stories. We're gonna talk about bad theater stories. Hey, I gotta say this: haven't done theater in a while, and every time I think about it, I'm like, man, I miss it. And then you know what stops me from missing it? Tech rehearsals.
See, I got a million of those stories. I love them. I can write a book about theater.
Oh my gosh, but tech rehearsals for me, man. Put me in a bad mood is a tech rehearsal.
You're approaching it in the wrong way.
You got to teach me. Teach me how to be positive.
At this point, you've done all the work. It's about the lighting and sound. Give them the chance to get it right. You already know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Again, it's maybe it's different in the US, but certainly in the UK. I don't know what actors like tech, but I like tech. Particularly, I've worked with a lady who you'll hear a lot in the podcast, called Deborah Warner, who's one of the preeminent European theatre directors, and her texts infamously can last a week and a half.
What?
Yes.
Oh, what's her name?
Deborah Warner.
All right.
She's quite avant-garde. But yeah, so when you work with someone like Deborah, and for example, if this is a scene and it involves you coming in and putting down your cup, you might think it's simple. We could spend a whole day doing that easily, or a whole afternoon doing that. And actors, it's funny. I've seen actors melt under that kind of level of repetition, but she's so exacting. But it just taught me, it just taught me a great lesson. Okay, I'll keep doing it. And it's just another, again, I don't approach a tech like a tech. I just approach it like another rehearsal.
That's so smart. That's why you're smarter than me, and you've survived longer than I have.
No, if I was as smart as you, I'd have beautiful hair, olive skin like this. The funniest man I know, and I know a lot of funny people. I just, my brain does not work as quickly as yours.
You know,
and he has the most filthiest laugh I've ever discovered in my life.
It's very aggressive humor, as the other castmates are slowly learning, which
please
is great.
Look on his Instagram for his morning feeds when he says good morning, wearing a white dressing gown by the pool. It's quite disturbing.
Yeah, it's great. You know what? I like Instagram stories because they don't last. Obviously, they only last a day. And also for the fact that it allows me to be silly or to do something without having it to be on there forever. I mean, yeah, somebody could, screen record it or whatever. But I also
they do last, because your face you pulled yesterday and this morning has been etched into my brain cells. So you might think that just goes into the ether. But I promise you, it's indelibly here.
Yeah.
Until the day I take my last breath.
Well,
good morning. Scary face, something like that. You know, it's
good morning. Today was
That's
like a buenos dias. Well, listen, we got to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're gonna dive full in. So stay tuned. Mwah.
We love you.
We're back. Listen, if you're hearing a little, it's because I don't have a second mic stand. Because guess what, Peyton? I tried to put the second mic stand in my suitcase, and it didn't fit. It was too long, and I unscrewed it all and everything. It was just too big. So thank you, and I'm going to blame it on you. Peyton's the producer of the show.
Peyton, I won't blame it on you. He's just projecting. I know you did your best. Thank you, Peyton.
Wow, that's so British. That is so British. He's projecting.
No,
He's
it's just
projecting.
being polite.
He's projecting. I'm just being polite. He's projecting.
Peyton, we love you. Everyone comment how much you love Peyton. Thank you.
Now, that's not all right, because now everybody loves
How much you like Peyton, but how much you love Wesam. Didn't let me finish the sentence.
Wow.
Carry on.
Wow. Wow, you're so...
Erudite.
Using big words now to try to intimidate.
Only 3 syllables. Not really hard.
What's the word you used?
Erudite.
Erudite. What does that mean?
3 syllables. Articulate, smart. But you are. He's very erudite.
Oh my gosh. I'm not. Here's the deal. You said earlier I'm a sage, which I appreciate that.
He is a sage.
No, I just learned from smart people. This is not like
So you like a cerebral magpie. You steal.
Yeah.
Good.
Survival.
As you should.
It's more survival than anything.
No, he's lying. He's deflecting again of his brilliance. I should interview you.
Maybe at some point. But
Yeah.
people are more interested about you. I've already talked about myself so much on
Well,
this show.
that's because I'm quite interesting.
You are quite.
I'm
So,
not
okay.
really.
Where are you? You were born in England, right?
Yeah, I was born in a place called Birmingham, which is an industrial city in England, in kind of the Midlands. You've got the north, which is kind of Manchester. You've got the Midlands, which is kind of Birmingham, Coventry, Leicester. If you have working knowledge of literature, it's where Shakespeare came from. Shakespeare was born in the county of Warwickshire, which is where I come from. And in Warwickshire, there's a city called Birmingham, which is the second largest city in the UK. And I work for the UK Tourist Board. Joking. And that's
I
where
was
I
like,
came
holy
from.
shit.
No,
Does
that's where
that
I was.
too?
No, that's where I was born, in Birmingham, in England.
Wow. Okay. And were you at a young age where you're like, you know what, I love theater, or were you just going to the theater and you're like, oh wow, this is pretty cool stuff?
That's the story. Birmingham is quite famously an industry city. You know, in the 60s and 70s, in the Industrial Revolution that took part in the UK, it was very much chocolate was made there. Land Rover, Range Rover, lots of kind of industry. I'm a product of immigrants. My dad was from Barbados, sadly passed 5 years ago, and my mum is from a little Caribbean island called St. Kitts. And I was an only child. And I think one of the gifts that you are imbued with as an only child is you don't have siblings. So you start to create worlds because you have to entertain yourself. And this was, obviously I'm quite old, this was before anyone had laptops, computers, Game Boys, although Game Boys were around in the 80s, but my parents couldn't afford things like that. So, you know, you create these worlds. And interesting enough, I'm thinking, where did it all come from? I would be taken to church every Sunday. And I think church is the first theatre that certainly I was introduced to, in terms of there's a whole kind of ceremony and stuff. And you watch these magnetic preachers up there, you know, having the audience or the congregation in the palm of their hands. And I always was quite enamored of this spectacle. And I'd go home and deliver it in my bedroom, these sermons, only to myself, in the mirror. And I think that mixed with, when I was 6, I kind of loved school, but I loved school from the aspect of the social element of it, as opposed to learning new things. And I think I got to the age of 6 and I was kind of getting behind at school. And I had a phenomenal teacher called Mrs. Mills, who sadly passed, I think it was last year. And she worked out my Achilles heel. My Achilles heel at the time was I loved to go out and play. And I was passionately in love with football, soccer, and still am. And she decided that unless I did all of my work, in my recess time or break time, she would keep me in. So I quickly worked out that I wanted to be outside. And she introduced reading to me like another level. So at 6, I was terribly behind. After being taught by her for 1 year, the next year, which was me being 8, I had the reading age of a 13-year-old. And that suddenly opened up a Pandora's box for me. I could read these books, and suddenly I was discovering these worlds that prior to that I wasn't really interested in. And I remember my mum would send me to bed at, I don't know, maybe 7 o'clock. And she'd go to bed at like 12 or 1 in the morning and have to come and take the books away from me physically, because I just was obsessed by reading, and I could get through 2 or 3 books a day.
Wow.
But what that did was gave me the appreciation of language. And then by reading, and obviously you start by reading books with pictures, but the more advanced I became, I was reading these books with obviously no pictures. But in my mind, I could see the world in which the authors were creating, which was very dramatic. So I think that was the kind of the seed that enticed me to want to do this thing called acting, although at the time I didn't know what it was. But once a year at school, we'd have the school nativity play. Because I didn't go to an arts-based school, and I loved being on stage. I loved putting the costume on. I loved saying my 3 lines. Jesus was born under the Star of Bethlehem. I loved it. But just looking out into the audience, into the pitch black, being on stage was just magical. And at an early age, I thought, this is what I want to do. But I didn't know it was called acting. I didn't know how to do it. But I just thought, this is when I'm happiest.
That's incredible.
So that was the start of it, really.
And if you don't mind me asking, like, that's obviously the genesis. And when did you shift into, okay, this is a profession now for me?
Sadly, not until I was 20. In fact, sadly, it happens when it happens. When I was 25, again, I left primary school and went to high school, which is called comprehensive school in the UK. And at this point, I'm now 11. So high school in the UK is from when you're 11 through to 16. And I knew from day one that I wanted to be an actor. That's when you officially start having drama lessons. So every Friday after lunch, that was my most exhilarating hour and a half of the whole week at school. We had great drama teachers. And suddenly, I was able to read these plays. I've never read plays before. But reading all of these plays, and then we get to do improv, and then maybe do 2 or 3 pages of the play. And that just opened my world up. Again, at this point, I didn't know how to be an actor, but I knew that that's what I wanted to do. Went through school, was never interested in anything else, but wanted to be an actor. And I remember going to see my school's career advisor. And by nature of the title of the role, career advisor, you go and you tell them what you want to do, and they advise you how to take that path. And this is in your final year at school. I remember going in and saying, yeah, I want to be an actor. His response was, you can't do that. I said, no, I want to be an actor. No, you can't do that. Yeah, but why? People like you don't do acting. However, there's lots of vacancies in a factory.
Whoa. He said people like you can't do acting?
Yeah. But what he meant in defense of him, we were living in the middle of Thatcherite 80s England, and I'm from Birmingham. So it wasn't necessarily for anyone who's looking at racing. It was literally working class people like you. Don't do that. That's for kind of middle and upper class people. Best thing for you to do, get a job in a factory. Because that's what's expected of you in Birmingham. It's probably changed now in terms of you go through school, you leave school, you get an apprenticeship in a factory, and you work there until you're 65. These hands are soft for a reason. They're the most well-maintained and moisturized hands. I was never going to do manual work. Nothing wrong with it. But I knew, even at that age, what I wanted to do. I wanted to be on stage. I wanted to embroil myself in these scripts and bring these characters to life. So part of that, what was so disappointing is I needed him to give me the tools to go home and say to my parents, this is what I wanted to do. Because I think, bless them, my parents are very concerned that seemingly I had no direction in my life. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I did, but I didn't know how to articulate to them that I want to be an artist.
Right.
My mum wanted me to be a doctor. My dad also wanting me to go into medicine. Great, wonderful, but that's your dream. Here's what I want to do. So I kind of left school very disenfranchised and ended up going to do uh, a business and finance course. I don't know why. I'm the least business type person I've ever met in my life. And I wanted to do it purely because all my mates who had left school were doing it. So I thought, I'm going to still hang out with those guys. Anyway, I think that lasted like all of 6 months. And then I just started working in clothing retail because I kind of liked clothing. And also, I think that was born out of, I wouldn't say my parents were poor, but every single penny they earned went to paying off the house. They didn't want a mortgage. So, which was a great philosophy to have. So, but I never got any kind of trendy clothes or funky clothes. And I always was made to feel lesser than because it was the 80s. It was kind of the age of kind of, I guess, for want of a better word, ostentatiousness.
Yeah.
You know, it was like the emergence of the mobile phones. Labels were coming to the fore. So everyone who had a bit of money at school wore labels. I never got to do any of that. So, and my mum would always say, if you want some clothes or some trainers, go and get a job and buy yourself whatever you want. So that's what I did, stupidly. But secretly still wanted to go to drama school. At that point, I knew that actors go to drama school. But then I looked it up and they were expensive. And I thought, well, I can't ask my mum and dad to pay because at this point in the UK, you had to pay. So I just kind of aimlessly went from job to job working in the clothing industry. And I think I got to the age of 19 thinking, I just want to be on the stage, but I don't know how to do that. So I ended up, by the age of, I think, 23, thinking, this is enough. I can't do this anymore. I'm going to go and travel the world because I need to get out of this environment of Birmingham and go and see the world. And in that time, find out who I am. Because I was very reliant on my parents. I was still living at home, you know, so I needed to grow up. And many people in Europe, quite famously, when you finish school, you go and take a gap year and travel the world and have lots of experiences and then start university. Or once you finish university, you then go and travel the world, which was a great idea. But I was never going to backpack. I'm too high maintenance. I like nice things, right? So I thought, well, how can I see the world in relative comfort? Oh, a cruise ship. That sounds like me. So I went away for a while and worked on a cruise ship, sailing around the Caribbean. And I was away, I think, for 9 months. But what it taught me was an appreciation of different cultures. But also, I went back to England with such focus and drive. I knew I'm 24 now. I'm going to do this. I don't know how, but I'm going to do it. Went back and enrolled on a course doing English literature and there's a drama section. I loved it. I was absolutely enamored with it. And at that point, I thought, this is what I'm going to do. At this point, I've never been to the theatre. But as part of one of the sections of the drama course, we had to go to the theatre and then write a report on the play we'd seen. And I went to Birmingham Rep, and I can't remember who was in it, but I remember watching A Doll's House by Frederick Ibsen, which to this day is still one of my favourite plays. And I sat at the back of that theatre and cried watching what was happening in front of me. And I thought, that is what I want to do. The journey that Nora goes on and the emotion that I was feeling, I thought, I want to be able to do what she's doing. I want to be able to be on stage and make people feel how I'm feeling. That was it. Went home, and about 2 weeks later, we broke for Christmas. And because this still wasn't enough, I was only doing it twice a week. I wanted to be just doing it every single day. Happened to open a newspaper at Christmas, and there was an advert for Birmingham Theatre School. I'd never heard about it before. And they had someone, an actor, who looked like me, talking about training there, what it had given him, and what he wanted to do next. Black guy, bald head, from Birmingham, at a theatre school. That spoke to me. Then the very next day, I called up the school, spoke to the principal, who's still now, shout out to Chris Rosansky, Birmingham Theatre School, I love you, appreciate you for everything you've done for me. Spoke to him, told me to come down. I met him at the backstage door, and I remember walking into this theatre, and the smell hit me. And I promise you, as I said that, it's bringing up stuff. It was the most magical thing. I don't know what the smell was. It was the smell of the theatre. I remember going up these steps, and as I walked up the steps, got pictures of all these actors on stage and stuff. I've never felt so more at home in all my life. And I was with him for about half an hour, and there was like 3 courses: a foundation to acting, there was an advanced, and then the professional course. And I did the open access course, which was for people who were out of work, who had never acted before. It was a kind of 3-day a week, kind of dipping your toes into it. I remember signing on, and I would be there 5 days a week, not only working on my course, but all the other courses. I was doing props, learning lighting, sound, wardrobe, terrible at everything, but I just wanted to immerse myself and watch these actors, watched how they work, just immersing myself in everything. And I had a great year there, but I was so ambitious. I knew, as great as Birmingham Theatre School was, it still wasn't enough for me. It became like a drug. I wanted more. And I'm quite competitive. I also wanted to be in London, because in my mind, that's where the best drama schools were.
Right.
So I then started applying to drama schools in London. Ended up going to a method school called East 15, which was purely method. But I hadn't really done my due diligence and researched grants. So I'd gone there, and at the time I still had to come up with £9,500 to fund my training. So I was getting a part grant, which is the government giving you money to go and educate yourself. But at the time, governments weren't funding art students that much. So you had to get a student loan. So I had a grant, student loan, plus I still had to work like at weekends and stuff. And it was hard. The £9,500, which was outstanding, my mum and dad helped me, although they couldn't help me too much. The rest I had to earn by working, but also writing to actors saying, I'm a poor acting student, please send me some money. And the likes of Anthony Hopkins and Simon Cowell and a few other actors had kind of contributed. But I got to the end of my first year, loved it, but thought, I'm going to have to raise £18,000 to finish my final 2 years. I just didn't see where I could do that. And I just finished working with a director called Simon Vors, who's an amazing director. He's probably in her 90s now. And she happened to call me in the summer break and asked me how I was doing. I says, I'm doing great, but I don't think I'm going to be able to afford to go back. And she said, why? And I says, because I don't have the money. She went, well, try another drama school. You must continue your training. So at that time, I chose 2 schools. I chose RADA and Royal Central School in Speech and Drama to call and say, look, I'm currently training, and I'd like to transfer to your school because I need to continue, which you can't do because of different establishments. And RADA, I remember them being so rude, and they intimidated me. I thought, well, I'm not going to go and audition for you because you're incredibly rude. And they just spoke with a really posh voice. So I thought, no, I'm not going there. Royal Central responded by saying, we're still auditioning for our intake in September. Would you like to come down? And we're available for auditions on Thursday. That was the Monday I called. Thursday, I found myself back in London, walking in, and again, walking up the central steps and entering into that famous building. I mean, this is heritage. This is the very bastion of English drama training. Any play you go to in the West End or anywhere in England, and you open a programme and you look at where all the actors have trained, they've trained at RADA, Central Guildhall, Lambda. It was one of their 4 top schools. And just being in those hallowed halls was amazing. And I remember thinking, okay, so I'm going to switch it up. I know they've seen a million auditions. I loved Othello at the time. Mm-hmm. But not the character of Othello. I thought, I'm going to do Iago. I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to switch it up on him. And I remember doing a Iago speech, and they kind of stared at me, asked me to step out the room, asked me to come back. And at this point, now they've put in a student helper. So one of the student actors. And I was directed to direct the speech to him. Already I've had like 2 years training behind me, so I kind of knew what I was doing.
Right.
And I finished that speech, and they asked me to pull up a chair. I said, so tell us about East 15. And I was very honest, said, look, I love my training.
So yeah, sorry, just to make sure to keep it toward the mic, yeah.
Excuse me. I sat down and said that I love my training, but at this point I can't afford to go back because of finance. And Jeff Coleman, who's still head of acting there, just looked at me and said, well, we'd like to offer you a place. There and then on the spot. Bear in mind, normally they have 3 rounds. They have the initial audition, the callback, and the final callback. On the spot, they just offered me a place. And
Wow.
I remember walking out, and I couldn't help it. There was like 40 students who had been recalled that day in the next room, and they were like, how'd you get on? I went, I got in, and they all just cheered for me, which was beautiful.
Oh man, that's
And
no. I was just gonna say that kind of support is amazing.
it is.
I'm so sorry. We're gonna take a quick break here in just a little bit, but continue on.
And to cut a long story short, I left the building, went back to East 15 because I thought, well, I want to be transparent with you guys, and spoke to the then principal and said, look, unfortunately, I can't come back. Because of finance, I had to re-audition, and I'm going to another school now. And suddenly, he was offering scholarships. But at that point, didn't matter. I wanted to go to Central. Long story short, within 1 semester of being at Central, now Central were only charging $1,500 per year. Sorry, pounds per year.
Wow.
As opposed to 9,500 because it's subsidised by the government, because it's one of the elite schools,
Right.
which is easily affordable. I went from paying that to paying nothing. They gave me a scholarship and a grant to live on. So I've gone from paying 9,500 to them paying for me to be there.
Wow.
And it's not because I was special. It's because I'm free. I was very dedicated. So I believe in life, particularly in drama training, particularly in work or whatever strand of work you choose to be. Things happen when they're meant to happen, in the right time that they're meant to happen. I was always meant to go to East 15 for a year. I was meant to go to Central and finish my training at Central. And here I am.
Wow. That's an incredible story. And here you are with the greatest actor has ever lived.
I've worked with some great actors, but all of them pale into mild and weak insignificance when I am in a scene with you.
Hey, Anthony, you're welcome.
No, you're welcome.
No, you're. we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right. One of my favorite things so far about shooting the show. I haven't shot anything. We haven't shot anything. But being
They're
here,
saving the best till last.
right?
They're bringing in the heavy hitters towards the end of the week.
You're welcome. Is the fact that our other castmates, the wonderful discussions we've been having, have really bonded us, and also it's been food for the soul. I think I've mentioned that before during our talks, and I just appreciate not only you but the other actors that we've been talking to, and how they've been open and sharing, their insecurities as actors, their struggles, their challenges, and how they've overcome them. And I love hearing that with other actors, because there is no guidebook. There is no, like, for sure, 100%, if you do this, you're going to be successful. Or, excuse me, that Coke is coming up. Coca-Cola.
The Coca-Cola that he's drinking.
Right.
Just what I said.
Yeah. But yeah, like, I feel very, there's so much gratitude from you guys being able to share that so openly and genuinely, and doesn't feel fake.
No, I mean, it is interesting that, we all come with our, as you said, our insecurities and stuff. And I remember sitting around a table around these phenomenal actors, and even yesterday we were talking about auditioning and stuff. And then I'm looking at these respected actors, and everyone's got their own thing. But what we have here, I think, is a wonderfully supportive and creative cast. And you speak to people, and everyone has been through the same thing. They handle it in different ways. But I'm not sure that's always the case. But we are very, very fortunate. And I think the longer you stay in the game, and I do think that you get out of it what you put in. If you give out good energy, then God, the universe, spirituality, whatever you believe in, you get rewarded for that. And I remember saying to you early on, this is a tremendous job that we're on. We're fortunate that we've been here for over a week now, and we don't film for another 6 days now. And this environment that we're in is amazing. And I said to Wesam, and I truly believe this, This to me is about all the no's that we've ever got, all the bad auditions, all the times that you haven't worked. I believe at some point you're going to get rewarded. This is about what I call breaking bread, sitting down with people and sharing knowledge, sharing your past,
Right.
the disappointments, the successes, picking up and learning from each other. This is what this job is about. That's the reward, just being around great people and being in this beautiful environment, which has actually made us reflective, but in a positive way.
Yeah. You know, it was so funny to me whenever you told me after I worked with you, you were like, I was a little insecure and intimidated to work, you know, like with another TV actor. And I'm like, it's just so, it sounded so ridiculous to me because honestly, you were so good and it was so refreshing. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so nice to work with an actor who's at such a high caliber and just delivering so well. And I know you said I was being very generous in the scene, but for me, I can't help but be generous, you know? And also for the fact that this is your thing. And we also talked about fellowship within our acting community. And for you guys, I forgot to mention this. I'm so sorry. You were teaching an acting class.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, those students are so lucky because of your extensive knowledge, not only with theater acting, but also TV and film acting. And that one of the things during that Q&A I was harping on was the fact that, oh man, there needs to be a fellowship between you guys.
Mm-hmm.
You have to look out for each other in a positive way. No jealousy, no thinking, oh, I wish I had an audition, or I wish I booked that job, or I wish. No. That has to be out of your mind completely. It should be motivational. Be like, wow, what are they doing right? How can I apply that to my craft?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it needs to be, especially between actors and artists.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way for long-term success and long-term mental health.
I think, and I've spoken at pains to my students, shout out to all my students from the P3s, great work. I have to advocate on the behalf of generosity amongst actors, amongst human beings, but particularly with actors. The downside of it is social media, and you're training with actors, you're training with friends, and you're seeing people's stars rise. And I think jealousy and envy is such a dangerous trait. I'm very fortunate to know a lot of well-established, really, really, really good actors, a lot of whom are my friends. And I promise you this, every time they book something, I am so happy. It was never meant to be mine.
Yeah.
What is yours is going to be yours. I believe from the moment you're born, you were meant to be on this job. There were other actors who would have read for this. It was never theirs. They might have had the opportunity to read, but this job was always going to go to you. They might get out of the read or the audition another job or become on the radar of the casting director or the producers. But this job, sitting here right now, filming next Friday, was always going to be Wesam Kish.
Yeah.
Right? So if I'm Wesam's friend, I'm going to be so happy for you. Because and we have a community now, I call you La Familia, which is family, because I'm working with you and we bonded. At some point, this job is going to end, but that does not mean that my advocacy of you or my support or me wanting you to do well is going to end. If you do well, I do well. And I just think as actors, the biggest thing that messes a lot of actors up is comparing yourself. Compare yourself to no one. I'm very fortunate to have a 7-year-old, 8-year-old child. And the thing that I harp on the most is be the very best you can be. Compare yourself to no one because you don't know their journey. But as long as you can lay your head on your pillow at night and say, I was the best version of myself I could be, which is being generous to other people and being happy for them, that's great. But I don't really have any truck for jealousy or envy. No. If you look at someone and think, how did they do that? Well, study them, watch them, ask them.
Yeah. No, you've nailed it on the head.
You know?
And if you feel those feelings coming up, just stop them right away. You gotta mentally be that strong, and you gotta impose your will and be like, no, I am happy for them. That's what it is, and I'm happy for their success. Say that out loud as many times as you want, and know that if you don't like the place where you're at in life, you need to train more. Okay, like you need to train more and you need to be more cunning in the way you approach your business. You have to have more cunning tactics. You have to be very intelligent. You have to see what's hot right now, and you have to learn other cross disciplines in order maybe to break into this field. That's just the way it is. And if that bothers you, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
Sorry. Like, there's a lot of things. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I love actors, and I'm very fortunate to train and coach a lot of actors. Actors primarily, right about now, show my age, I think are lazy. When I was certainly at drama school, we just loved the craft of acting. Nobody wanted to be famous. And if they did, they kind of kept their mouth shut. Everyone now is governed by social media. But they don't want to put in the work. They want to walk the red carpet. Quite frankly, all that kind of stuff, I just find obnoxious.
Did you see that thing I posted about on my Insta story? I think you messaged me about it. If you want to be famous on that billboard.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's a giant billboard, and a guy is going, "Hey, if you want to be famous, message me," and it's all his Instagram handles and everything, and they should probably burn that billboard down. Like, it was the most disgusting. It made my insides turn. I'm like, this is, you don't even see how stereotypical it is, like how base and this is so horrible. They're like, fame. Like, could you be more in your face about it? Bro, if that was in a script, I'd be like, that's too much.
But unfortunately, there are individuals and a growing amount within our industry that's what they want. I love telling stories.
Yeah.
I love collaborating. But lots of, I'd say, younger actors entering into the industry don't want to do the work. You know, I teach classes and say, if you're only going to pick up a script when I say learn this for next week, then this is not for you.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember saying in a class, what was the last play you watched? What was the last play you read? And I'm waiting. I'm still waiting for them to raise their hands. You've got to devour this stuff. And then you came in very graciously and did a Q&A, and you were saying to them, this is a series regular. This is why I love this guy. Series regular who, whilst shooting a show, is still coming home and just picking up sides to learn and self-tape just because. And I was at pains to say to my students, that is what you are having to compete with. Because too many people want to do the bare minimum but get the maximum payout.
No, I was, and just to clarify, when I was a series regular on a show, I would still be going to my acting class on Sundays because that's what it's about. And sometimes, I'm like, hey, I got some scenes that I'm gonna shoot this week. Can we run them? Or sometimes, hey, can we just do another scene for you? Like, he had a self tape, my buddy. And I'm like, yeah, let's do that. Let's work on that. And so whenever my colleague and friend had work like a self tape, that helps me too. Right. People, like, read for each other. Find your partner who you're like, oh, I got to go to this person. Oh, I got to go to this person whenever I need, like, a female, like, older actress. She really nails those beats really well. Or, oh, my comedic buddy, this is comedy. He'll know the banter that we'll need for this. Like, you got to find that. Again, it goes back to fellowship. You know what I mean?
And, and primarily fellowship, but most importantly, what drives you is hunger and passion. I'm not seeing it enough. Yeah. And I think a great little story to end on this little segment is, so Viola Davis and Meryl Streep are filming Doubt. And both of these guys are at the top of their game. And in between takes, Meryl turns to Viola Davis and says, so, what does your father do? And at this point, she's on about her father in the play, which is a film. You never see him, but both of them create backstory. Viola couldn't answer because she hadn't actually ticked that box and decided what her father did. This is Meryl Streep at the top of the game. This is Viola Davis. And Viola thought, oh my God, I haven't done that part. These guys that we admire are outworking us. They're not just turning up and just saying the lines. Meryl Streep's doing a backstory. Viola had done a backstory, but just hadn't thought about, oh, what does my father do? So these guys who we aspire to be like, they are outworking us. They have possibly more talent than us, or probably the same amount of talent, but they are outworking you.
It's like, you got to be aware. You got to always remember, You know, you got to think of everything. You can't forget stuff. You can't forget like your keys in your casita, and then make a video sending to your friends.
You
that
can't do that. That's irresponsible. Who would do that? He's shaming me. He's shaming me. Once you get to a certain age, your brain cells start to diminish. So what he's saying is, so last night we were all out together, and I came home and opened the door. I was talking to my child, and I came in. I says, "Oh, no." Actually, he said, "Let me see your pool, Daddy," because I'm like that. I don't really have a pool. So I blame my child, actually. So I went outside, and I was showing him the pool. Inadvertently, I didn't realise that I'd actually locked myself out of these doors. How you can do that, I don't know. Only I could do that. But I found a way to lock myself out, and then I just thought, well, I have to give Wesam some a stick to beat me with, and shame me, and I videoed myself saying, "Look how stupid I am," and he's now shaming me with that.
It's ridiculous how happy that video made me.
Well, I thought it might, and I thought, well, I think you have potential to be a great comedian, and I would give you more leverage to do that. But I can't believe you'd invite me onto your podcast just to humiliate me in front of all these people. But that's fine.
That's how you know I love you.
I will delete him the moment I walk out of this casita.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
By the way, pick your friends wisely.
Yeah. If you're going to be friends with me, you have to be on your toes and just ask any of my two
Don't
friends.
be afraid to lose friends in your journey as well. It's really important that if someone doesn't bring something to your artistic table, get rid of them. Like a cancer, cut them out.
Oh my goodness. At least I bring stuff to the artistic table.
You do. Disruption, distraction.
What is it? Oh, gentle chaos. I think Megan said that, or Zach said that last night.
It's not gentle chaos, though.
That might be my new nickname, Gentle Chaos.
Turbulent chaos.
I like that. Gentle Chaos. Peyton, can we make, whenever we do, what is it called? Swag or what? Merch. That's it. Man, I've been forgetting words.
Merchandise.
Lately. Merchandise. We're going to have Gentle Chaos.
Why abbreviate it? Merchandise.
It's just my eyes. They're like those.
3 syllables.
It's all chaos.
Merchandise.
Chaos. Merchandise. And that word that you said in the beginning, Ariandatus. Right?
Erudite.
Erudite. That was close, dude. That was close. Listen, man, you're British. I get it. You're older than me. You know a lot more words.
I'm actually younger than him. Just more well-read.
That is a great shirt. I have
you.
to compliment you on air on that shirt.
Thank you. Do you like these guys? Comment.
You love the fashion stuff and the smells. You sold a cologne for a little bit, right?
Yeah. Expression, isn't it? We're artists.
Yeah.
We're artists.
Yeah, it's totally fine.
Yeah, I do. You know what? I love people. I love human beings.
Mm.
I love watching how they put things together, how they smell, how they walk, how they talk. We were joined yesterday, and I'm giving a secret away now. I'm always watching people. Like always. I'm always stealing. I'm always looking to steal things. I look at the way people move, the way they talk, the way they socially interact. Again, we have to be artistic magpies. If I'm telling human stories, I must be interested in humanity. By the way, segue, but it's important for any artists or any aspiring actors. You must read and you must be aware of what's going on in the world, socially, politically, religiously, because all we are social commentators. And even if you're not, please just be aware of what's going on globally.
Yeah.
End of this PSA.
Hey, being aware, you don't even have to, like, if you don't want to voice your opinion, that's fine, but you have to be aware.
You absolutely do.
And it's, like, a little irresponsible if you're not, I feel like. And by the way, just because I don't post about something or I don't, just because I don't post about something doesn't mean I don't care about it or I'm not helping out in my own private way.
Right.
Because, it's so funny to me how certain things and issues people are like, hey, you aren't posting about this, and I'm like, hey man, you don't need to know.
Do you know
like,
what
I
was
fine.
guilty of that last year, and I had to check myself in terms of, I guess we're gonna briefly go down that route.
We don't have to. We can keep it somewhat safe if you'd like.
No, don't censor me.
Okay.
In light of all the BLM stuff last year, I posted stuff. I remember scrolling and looking, well, why hasn't that person posted? Why hasn't that person posted? None of my damn business. I had to check myself. As you said, just because someone doesn't post doesn't mean that they're not going through it or not aware of it. There's a lot of sensitive issues that people are now scared to offer an opinion because they're being attacked. what we must all learn is more empathy for other people. And I'm learning that. It's really important, man. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not into cancel culture. I think I said it the other day around the table. I'm trying to educate myself. And if you have the opportunity to educate someone else, then educate them as opposed to cancelling them. I always ask myself the question, why? Why does that person have that opinion? Why have they not posted? Well, maybe because if they post, they're going to be afraid of being attacked.
Right.
Empathy rules. Always and
Absolutely,
ever.
man. Absolutely. I sometimes feel like that for the holidays, not for even like extreme social issues, but like Memorial Day. Sometimes I'm like, well, I observe it in my own private way in the morning, and
Yeah.
that's it. Like I don't know what else. Like
To
that's
do.
the way that makes it special for me,
Yeah.
you know. Or Labor Day, like I know it's not. It's just it's an important holiday. And it's
Oxymoron, though, isn't it? Labor Day, and no one works. Explain that. Labor, to do
it's an
work.
American thing, man. You got to live here longer to get it.
10
kidding.
years is long enough, but I still don't understand it. Someone explain Labor Day. Labor, to work.
Yeah.
To physically do something.
Well, then what do you want it to be called? Vacation Day?
Yeah. Beach Day.
Beach Day?
Barbecue Day.
What if you don't live by a beach? See,
Leisure Day.
now you're
Leisure.
secluding.
Leisure Day.
Leisure Day. So British.
Sorry, guys. I don't mean to
So
offend anyone.
British.
I love America. I love it. It's a beautiful
I know
place.
you. No, but it's impossible to be offended by you, Anthony.
Please confirm that in writing.
In writing.
Uh,
Full.
I don't know. I can be quite
What?
offensive.
You?
Yeah.
And I haven't realized it or I haven't seen it.
Because you're
Hey.
a nice guy. Because you're a nice guy.
What? No. No, I'm saying I haven't seen you be offensive. I can be offensive.
No, you're hilarious.
No, I can be a little offensive.
You're like the North Hollywood Syrian version of Ricky Gervais.
I'll take that as a compliment. I
It's
love
a
Ricky
huge
Gervais.
compliment.
Yeah.
You are.
Dude, one of my favorite moments last night, and
Gervais.
no,
He laughs like this.
it was when Zach, I'm so sorry I did this, and I saw the look in your eyes.
He's not
but
sorry.
I knew you were cool with it eventually, and I'm like, oh, he gets it. Megan laughed a lot because Megan, she has those problems. So Zach, he's a cast member in the thing, and we were talking me, you, Zach, and Megan, we're all talking about our like insecurities as actors.
Yeah.
And he mentioned, I hope you don't mind me mentioning this, but like, sometimes when you're like, oh, I kind of don't want to do this job, but then after it's done or doing it, you're like, you know what, thank God I did it. It's motivated me. It's been great. And then I said afterwards, we were at the dinner or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, look at me, I'm Zach. Oh, I don't want it now. Oh, now I love it. And then watching him for that, like, wait, what? And Megan's like, wow, you really used something personal against him already. And I was like,
Insensitive. Insensitive.
I know.
Insensitive. So, as I was talking about empathy earlier, not just
Yeah.
in human beings,
I know.
doesn't happen here.
I know. No, it's man, humans are a trip, man. Especially with our field, how we get to study human behavior. It's always a trip to me, and in observing humans, why we make the choices we make based on our circumstances, based on the way we've been raised in our community, in our family life, in our work life, and then also on top of that, you put physical attributes, genealogy, mental and problems or advantages on top of all of that. And you've got this pot of like, okay, what is going to come out of this pot? And you get this human being. And to top it all off, you get this, we live in a world which has free will.
Yeah.
On top of it all. And then watching people change from good to bad, bad to good in these shades of gray. That's where like the magic of what life is. It is so complex and it's so overwhelmingly beautiful and complicated that sometimes, like even describing it now, I feel like I'm at the edge of a vast ocean on top of a cliff, and I can just see miles and miles and endlessly, and I'm like, I don't understand any of it, I feel like.
That was quite poetic. And you know what you made me feel? I had an experience which you actually prompted me to yesterday, which is experiencing a community of bees. And as you were regaling us quite beautifully with all of those images and analogies, One of the most moving things looking at the bees yesterday was they all had a purpose, and it was serving the community and each other. And it was interesting when you were talking about human beings being complex. I thought bees are, what I looked at, it was quite simple. They are born, and I think their lifespan, I think the males is like 20 days or something like that.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. Guys, we're done with the Adobe Live version. Stay tuned for tomorrow morning if you want to listen to the complete episode of this on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Remember to subscribe to us on Wesam's World. And thank you for tuning in live.
Bye.
Sorry.
Love you all.
Continue. Sorry.
What struck me is, as human beings, we have a purpose. And you said it's complex, which it is, having to deal with all those emotions and life issues and relationships and navigating work, balance and stuff. Those tiny creatures taught me so much, just to be simple and present and serve the greater community. Why is it that life is so complex for human beings? Or do you think overcomplicate it?
You know, that's a great question. Why is it so complicated for us? I think we've overcomplicated it. This is just my opinion. And it's such an interesting question to ask people. What's the hierarchy of the most important thing in your life? The 5 most important things in your life. What are those things? Great. Do you use discipline to make sure none of those things start overlapping and causing problems? Great. If you do that, life's pretty simple. Yeah. But at the same time, it's not, because you have to develop clear communication skills. And sometimes it's hard to communicate with someone because you're insecure. You've been in your mind thinking negative thoughts all day. Maybe there's an issue you have with a loved one and you can't talk to them about it. Maybe not because of you, maybe because of them, maybe because of both of you. So at the same time, yes, life is complicated. Maybe it's this. Life is simple, but it's not easy. And that's what causes the complication.
But I looked in this city yesterday of bees. There's thousands of them. There's nothing complicated. There was an ebb and flow, a yielding. If one was coming, one moves out of the way. And I'm watching their little antennae, and they're talking to each other all the time. It's open communication. It's a social environment. It's a city, so they're living amongst and with each other. There's no fighting. They're all working together for the greater good.
In respect, maybe you are looking. I mean, this is just a perspective, I guess. It may seem complicated, but it's probably not simple. This is an organism, in my opinion, that is programmed to do a lot of this stuff already. You're not seeing like these bees do anything different from what they're doing now. For instance, if you take like 1,000 hives of these bees, they're all going to be doing the same thing. There's not going to be one group making cell phones, you know what I mean? Or doing something totally out of the norm. There might be small variations between them, but we are the most complicated thing on this planet. Yeah, you might have dolphins, which have extremely complex ways of communicating with each other, or orcas. Have you ever seen them hunt together?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Terrifying. If I lived in the ocean as an animal, I'd be petrified of orcas rather than sharks, to be completely honest. Well, sharks would be terrifying as well. But do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Maybe.
This place, which is so wonderful, and I'll let you know that I will cry when I leave here. It's given, certainly me, and I'm sure the same for you, time.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Crying. I thought you said crying. I was like, I probably won't cry, but I rarely cry. So.
Oh, I'm always a cry. I'm tearing up now.
I could tell.
Yeah, I am because I think life is beautiful, and I think that portal, for want of a better word, was open to me. Sadly, a few years ago when I lost my father, I thought every single moment going forward from this moment is a gift. I think we're filming next Friday. It might not happen. It's written so, but I'll be so fortunate to make it there.
Right.
I think it's going to happen. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. but it might not. I could go to sleep tonight and not wake up.
God forbid.
So every single moment of my life, I am choosing to just embrace and try to smell the flowers, try to listen to the buzz of the trees. And this lesson that I'm learning over these protracted 3 weeks that I'm in this incredible environment, I'm going to try to take back to LA with me and apply every single day of my life. Although I've been trying to do that, certainly post-COVID, this enforced time, reflective time when we can't go anywhere for a while, certainly. And all we had, globally actually, is time. And I made a vow to myself, when we eventually come out of COVID, out of lockdown, I cannot be the same as when I went in. Because what's been the point, and I'm calling it for myself, although many people have said this, the great reset. I'm resetting myself as well, in terms of I want to be a better human being. I want to embrace life, enjoy humanity, enjoy the presence of other human beings, be present and look in people's eyes when they speak to me, receive what they're saying to me, let it move me, let it affect me, as opposed to so many people nowadays talk and not talk to engage in conversation and listen to people. So many of them are just waiting for you to finish speaking and then they carry on saying what they're saying. Maybe that's just an LA thing, but it has to be about celebrating humanity again. Whatever that means. I don't know whether that's...
I agree. It makes me, branching out on what you said, the most important thing in life, in my opinion, is first and foremost, you got to be a decent human being. And I'm not going to get onto, everybody has their own religious beliefs, and I believe in one God, a creator of all things, and that to me is the most important thing, keeping that relationship going. Second is developing and keeping up a high standard of character, of integrity, and creating a positive environment for my family and future generations, and taking care of my family and also my community of friends and colleagues. And next is the craft, because I feel like it's a gift that was given to me by God. Like I have to make sure I excel at it at a high level, as to be appreciative and show gratitude for this thing I'm given, being a conduit of artistic expression through these divine messages. Are you familiar with Alex Gray?
No.
Oh, man. I'll show you some of his stuff. Alex Gray is this visionary artist, and he creates these amazing paintings and drawings, and a lot of his work is based on these very colorful and LSD versus or LSD slash hallucinogenic drawings and paintings of the human spirit, the aura, and divine messages coming from the creator into us. And it's these, oh my gosh, these remarkable things. I'll show you a few of his paintings here in a second. And I really feel like that, you know, as an artist, if you want to perform at that level, you have to work at your craft. You can't just be like, okay, I'm ready. Like that's not appropriate. No. You know what I mean? As it wouldn't be appropriate for maybe a Catholic priest to come in his shorts and a tank top to give a sermon. Like, hey man, like,
I love the fact that doctors' surgeries, certainly in the UK, are called practices.
Yes.
Doctors, top of the game, they're still practicing medicine.
Exactly. I love that. I love that too.
Yeah.
This is my practice, or like a lawyer, they say it here, oh, this is my practice.
Exactly.
And that's a different, and I know it's a little thing, but it's a big thing, because it shifts the mentality a little bit. Yeah. And it shifts it in the right direction.
I'm still learning.
Right.
And also, I guess, still occasionally getting it wrong.
Absolutely.
You know.
I mean, at least being aware of what's wrong.
Yeah. I'm not yet the finished article.
No, because there is no finished article, especially when it's something based off of philosophy or very complicated science like medicine. Like, we haven't perfected medicine.
Yeah, far from it.
Of course. So that's why it has to be a practice. Yeah. And that's why any type of medicine, there's usually side effects, and you have to know your own body. You have to know at what time to take the medicine, etc., all that stuff. And doesn't mean it's not working.
No.
And that's the same thing with art. It might be beneficial for some groups of people, but some people be like, it was all right.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
yeah.
anyway. Man, thank you so much.
We
What?
got deep, didn't we?
Yeah, this is the show. This is the show. This is the way it happens sometimes.
Have I brought a lot of cerebral gravity to your show? Why have my voice changed?
Wow. Cerebral gravity. There's so many awesome one-liners that we've gotten in this episode. Gosh, I wish we had merch. Cerebral gravity.
Merchandise, goods, products.
Because it's all about the money at the end of the day, right? That's what you're trying to say?
Never about the money for me. Oh, that's interesting, actually. Throwing another kind of curveball.
I was joking, by the way, and I have to say that out loud.
It went over my head. Miscommunication. Tomatoes. Is this primarily going out to actors or just the general public?
This show?
Yeah.
Oh, general public.
Actors, how many of you would do this? In fact, no. People who love their jobs, guys, little question for you, who are passionate about their jobs, would you still do your job if you weren't being paid? Are you that passionate about what you do and you're fortunate enough to do it for a living? Would you do it for free?
Yeah. That's my answer, honestly. And then here's the complicated thing that my mind starts branching off of. I know me. When I don't want to do something, I don't do it. Like it annoys me or whatever. Like I'm not doing. I can't do it. To me, it's serving tables at some point out here. As soon as I start picking up work, it's like I can't be here anymore, because I'm gonna kill somebody. I'm gonna kill one of the customers, and then I'll be in jail. But then I start thinking like, we need people don't need to like love their work, because like we still need people at Target. We still need people doing other trades. Do you know what I mean? Like I get it. The people at Target, maybe none of them are like, this is my passion. I'm like, cool, but know what I mean?
There are people.
I'm trying to be articulate with this. I don't think I'm being clear.
No, I get it. There are people. I know many of them. I haven't really so much met them stateside, but certainly back home, who'll be in a job. Yeah, it's a job, innit? They know it's a job. They're going to go in, punch the clock, and go home, which is fine. And we absolutely need those people. Going back to the analogy of the hive I saw yesterday, there are bees in there that have one specific job. Like there's a guard bee. That's his job. You don't make honey. You just guard the door. He might go home and think, yeah, that's my job. And I wonder if he has less passion about guarding the door than the worker bee making the honey.
We'll never know.
We'll never know.
But
but there are people, I've heard it numerous times, yeah, it's a job.
Yeah.
They don't care. It's just about providing a roof over their family's head. They go abroad once a year or maybe not on holiday. That's it. So there's no real passion there. It's just pragmatic.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I know you absolutely adore and are passionate about acting. As am I, right? It's not all we can do. We have to do this.
Right.
You and I. And many others.
Right.
Yes, we can do other things, but we need to do this. And as you said, you would do this for free. Yeah. We don't, and we won't, because we've put in the time, and we're fortunate enough not to be able to.
Right.
But if it all ended tomorrow and no one ever employed me doing this again, and I had to get, say, an office job, I'd have to start my own theatre company as a hobby.
Yeah.
So as a hobby.
Yeah. I feel you.
My artistic vein to tell stories has to continue.
Yeah. I feel my artistic creativities too have expanded so much.
Yeah.
Since I've become a professional actor as well. And
well, I've heard you speaking about producing stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's something that's never crossed my mind, but it's the same thing. You're staying in the vein of creativity, and acting in front of the camera is one element of it. Being a producer, director is another element of it. But staying within this small confine is incredibly important to you.
Well, it's storytelling. And
yeah.
There's a part of storytelling that I like. I love being in front of the camera and I love being the creative storyteller, which is like formatting the story, formatting certain beats in the story, little one-liners, which I think would be, oh, we got to do a scene like this, or oh my gosh, how funny would it be if we put in this scene over here and this story happens like this, and that to me is so much fun because that's the kind of stuff I love, you know, and that's the kind of stuff that makes me cry laughing. So, Anthony, this has been absolutely splendid. Thank you so much. It's been an honor having you on.
No, it's been a pleasure and an honor to break bread with you.
Oh,
That's what I call it, breaking bread.
I love it, man. And later we're going to break some tequila.
I don't drink, but I'll pick him up from wherever he needs to be picked up from and bring him home and lay him down to sleep.
Thank you. That's very kind of you.
I'm a generous guy.
You are.
Why are you laughing? Why are you pouring mirth?
Because I want to poke at you, and I want to tease you, and that's just the way I am. I just like keeping people on their toes.
Pouring mirth on my generosity.
Mirth. I need to practice my British accent. You know, I did
Let's hear it.
All right, I'll do a little bit from Importance of Being Earnest. I played Algernon.
Oh, let's hear that.
Did you hear what I was playing, Lane? I'm sorry for that for your sake. I don't play accurately. I don't like to play accurately. That's all I remember, actually. Shit, I thought I knew more.
Very good.
Thank you.
It's very. I will tell you, it's very good. Just a tiny tweak, but it's very, very good.
Yeah, I need some work on it. But
you could do an algae. You could be an algae.
Oh, I would love to play Algernon again, especially now since I'm older and much better than I did when I played it. I was like, okay. Algernon was so much fun to play Algernon, you know?
There's a drama that I've been watching on Netflix. I can't remember what's it called? That you'd be perfect for.
Oh, okay.
It's set in the banking system in London. I forgot what it's called. But you'd fit right in there.
I know. Well, as long as the character has an expressive face.
Very expressive. What you bring to it. Anyway,
thank you guys for tuning in.
Keep tuning into him because he's a very, 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 very generous man. Very smart man. And thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on here. This was an honor, and I can't wait to hang out and talk more. If people want to follow you, what's your Instagram handle?
Anthony Mark Barrow. Nothing remotely interesting.
Nice.
Anthony Mark Barrow.
That's the way it should be.
Like he's got what's yours called?
My personal one is Wesam Quiche, but this show is called Wesam's World.
Wesam Quiche sounds cool.
Oh, you're talking about the actual name?
Yeah.
No, you got a cool name, man. Anthony
Mark
more
Barrow. Wesam Quiche. That's it's edgy. It's cutting edge.
You know what? I do have a cooler name within you. I can't argue with it.
Wesam Quiche.
It's a hard name to beat.
Wesam Quiche.
Somebody else had a really cool name on set, I think.
Zach Appleman.
No, that wasn't good. Megan Chancellor. Megan. Nah.
Megan Channel.
It's not good.
Megan Channel.
It's a horrible name. Change it. She can still change it.
Channels. Megan Channels. What does Megan Channel? Megan Channels good energy. Little S on the end would have made it work, no? Megan
I don't
Channels?
think so. I love you, man.
We're bitches. We're now bitching about our cast members.
Yeah, about their names, not about them. Just their names.
But when the microphone goes off, we'll bitch about them.
Anyway. All right, Peyton, play us out. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, Adobe Radio, Nice Guy Digital. Thank you to Peyton. Thank you to Alexandra. Thank you guys for producing the show. I appreciate you guys. Thank you to all of our new listeners. Always remember to listen, think, and then talk. Bye.
And be nice to each other.